Lucas and Aaron walked into the store like any other shoppers, but within minutes, their calm expressions would ignite a chain of chaos no one saw coming. The store opened on a calm morning, with rays of sunlight reflecting off its glass doors as customers stepped inside without a hint of worry. Employees moved through their routines with practiced ease, stocking shelves, arranging displays, and preparing for what they believed would be a typical business day. The smell of fresh packaging and the quiet hum of air conditioning created a familiar atmosphere. People browsed slowly, comparing prices and filling their baskets without rushing. Everything about the environment gave the impression of normal life continuing without interruption. Even the security staff operated with relaxed focus, scanning monitors casually and expecting nothing more than minor disturbances like misplaced items or accidental spillages. Among the steady movement, two individuals blended into the flow of customers. They moved confidently, touching items here and there, giving the impression of casual shopping. Their faces showed no stress, and their pace matched the calm rhythm of the store. Their presence did not stand out, and that was their strength. They studied each aisle, noting the placement of cameras and the positions of staff, moving with silent coordination. While other shoppers made simple decisions about what to buy, these two observed every detail for a different purpose. Nothing in their body language hinted at urgency, making it nearly impossible for anyone to guess their true intentions. The store had experienced thefts before, but they were always quick and poorly executed. A person would grab an item and dash for the exit, usually getting caught or dropping what they took. Employees had grown used to these predictable attempts, handling them like routine inconveniences. That history made the current moment feel even more ordinary. No one considered the possibility that something more organized was unfolding right in front of them. Customers continued with their business, unaware that they were moving around people who had no plans of making a simple escape. Security cameras captured everything, but the footage looked like any other day. People walking, carts rolling, aisles busy but peaceful. The silence of the store hid the tension forming beneath the surface. Each second brought the two shoplifters closer to the moment they had prepared for. They carried no bags that appeared suspicious, no visible tools, and no signs of panic. Their calm approach gave them an advantage few criminals possessed. As the minutes passed, the store remained unaware that the quiet atmosphere was just the calm before an unexpected disruption that would soon shatter the ordinary rhythm of the day. The two individuals continued to move through the aisles with calculated patience, never staying too long in one place, yet never appearing to be in a hurry. They selected items casually, picking up a few inexpensive products to avoid suspicion. Beneath their jackets were hidden compartments designed to conceal stolen goods without creating noticeable bulges. They had tested these methods before and knew exactly how much they could carry without drawing attention. While ordinary shoppers compared labels or checked prices, the pair focused on camera angles and employee positions. Every movement was part of a plan refined through repetition. One of them paused near a display shelf, pretending to examine an item while keeping watch. The other used that moment to slip merchandise into the hidden compartments with swift, controlled movements. Their eyes never darted around nervously. Instead, they kept a steady, confident posture that blended perfectly with the environment. A customer walked past them, completely unaware of what had just happened inches away. To anyone watching casually, they looked like regular buyers deciding what to take home. This illusion made their actions nearly invisible. An employee at the far end of the aisle noticed something unusual about their efficiency. Most customers hesitated, unsure of what to pick, but these two made deliberate choices without hesitation. The employee did not act immediately, but made a mental note to watch them more closely. Suspicion formed quietly, like a small spark waiting for fuel. Meanwhile, the pair continued their silent operation, moving from one section to another in a pattern that avoided drawing too much attention to any single spot. The store's security team monitored the live footage but saw nothing alarming. On the surface, everything looked routine. Shelves were being browsed, carts slowly filled, and no one showed signs of panic or guilt. The lack of urgency in the shoplifters' behavior served as their best disguise. They deliberately took breaks, pretending to reconsider items, placing some back to give the impression of honest shopping. By now, several items were hidden away, and the plan was unfolding smoothly. The shoplifters had studied the store layout beforehand, memorizing which areas were less supervised and which had blind spots between camera views. Their actions were synchronized without a word spoken between them. While employees moved around fulfilling their tasks, the two continued the operation undisturbed. The stage was set, and the next step would determine whether they would walk out unnoticed or face the consequences of their calculated risk. The moment security decided to intervene marked a sudden shift in the store's atmosphere. A subtle alert was passed through the internal system, signaling staff members to be on standby. The shoplifters were still unaware that their movements had drawn attention. Security personnel positioned themselves at strategic locations, expecting a typical attempt to exit quickly once confronted. However, the situation soon took a direction no one had anticipated. The calm routine that had carried through the morning began to crack as tension built quietly beneath the surface. As the shoplifters made their way toward the front section, their movements became slightly quicker, suggesting that their collection phase was complete. One of them adjusted their jacket, securing the hidden items in place. A security guard approached from a distance, not too close to alarm them, but near enough to react if they tried to run. The guard maintained a steady pace, ready to block the exit at the right moment. Employees were instructed to stay alert and keep a safe distance. Just as the guard closed in, one of the shoplifters noticed the sudden increase in attention. Instead of panicking or bolting directly toward the exit, they made a sharp move sideways, entering a narrow section between two aisles. This unexpected change disrupted the guard's plan and forced a quick reaction. Customers nearby noticed the sudden movement and paused, sensing something was wrong. The store's calm atmosphere fractured instantly as confusion began to spread. The shoplifters used the tight aisle to their advantage, pushing through racks and creating a path that slowed down anyone trying to follow them. Items fell from shelves, scattering across the floor and adding to the growing sense of disorder. People backed away, unsure of what was happening, but aware that something was no longer normal. The guard called for reinforcement, and more staff moved in to surround the area without escalating the situation further. The store, once filled with quiet shoppers, now buzzed with unease. Customers hesitated, some stepping back toward the entrance, while others stood frozen. The shoplifters continued to create disruption, knocking over displays to block clear paths. Their goal had shifted from staying unnoticed to causing enough confusion to escape before the exits were fully secured. The sudden change in strategy caught everyone off guard. What had begun as a silent theft operation evolved into a chaotic scramble. The shoplifters, once calm and controlled, now relied on distraction and speed. Each second increased the risk of someone getting caught in the chaos. The situation had officially spiraled beyond a simple store theft, setting the stage for a tense and unpredictable confrontation. Law enforcement received the store's emergency alert and arrived within minutes, surrounding the entrance and exit points. Their vehicles formed a perimeter to ensure no one could leave without being noticed. Inside, the store was no longer a place of calm shopping. Customers clutched their belongings and looked for safe areas, some moving toward the walls while others crouched behind shelves. The sound of distant footsteps and scattered merchandise echoed across the aisles. The shoplifters, aware that the building was now surrounded, changed their movements from strategic to desperate. Their earlier confidence had faded, replaced by the instinct to escape at any cost. The store layout, once familiar and predictable, had become a maze of overturned products and scattered debris. Employees tried to guide customers toward the back of the store where they could remain safe and out of the way. Security staff coordinated quietly with law enforcement outside, sharing information about the suspect's location. Each attempt to cut off their path was met with quick reactions from the shoplifters, who used every obstacle they had created to slow down pursuit. They slipped between aisles, using the clutter to stay out of clear sight. Every corner they turned brought them closer to either freedom or capture. The exits were no longer accessible without facing law enforcement directly. The main entrance was heavily guarded, and the side exit was blocked by store staff who had been instructed to maintain distance while preventing escape. The shoplifters paused briefly behind a toppled display, breathing heavily and scanning for any gap in the human barrier surrounding them. The atmosphere thickened with tension. The store's lights, once warm and inviting, now made every movement feel exposed. Silence fell for a moment as both sides reassessed their positions. Law enforcement prepared for a controlled containment, aiming to prevent the situation from becoming dangerous for bystanders. The shoplifters, realizing that every path was closing, began to move with increasing urgency. They shifted direction again, attempting to reach an emergency exit at the back of the store. This exit was often used only by staff and rarely noticed by customers, but security had already anticipated that move. Officers positioned themselves just outside that door, waiting in silence. The shoplifters approached without knowing what awaited them on the other side. The chaos they created earlier now worked against them, limiting their options and forcing them to make rush decisions. Each step brought them closer to the final moment that would decide whether they escaped or were finally stopped. The final attempt to escape began the moment the shoplifters reached the rear section of the store. The emergency exit sign glowed above the door, giving them a brief sense of hope. They pushed through scattered products, stepping over fallen displays and broken packaging. The chaos they had caused earlier slowed their own movement, forcing them to navigate through the very obstacles they created. Every second felt heavier, and the tension throughout the building reached its peak. Customers stayed hidden behind counters and shelves, watching quietly as the situation neared its end. The once busy store now felt like a contained zone where all attention focused on one final movement. Outside, law enforcement remained still, positioned with precision. They had received continuous updates from security staff inside and knew exactly where the suspects were heading. Officers stood ready near the emergency exit, ensuring no sudden breakout would catch them off guard. The store's staff kept a safe distance but observed as the situation tightened around the shoplifters. No one spoke, and no alarms sounded now. Instead, the silence carried a stronger impact. The shoplifters reached the exit and pushed on the door, but the moment it opened, they were met with a firm barrier. Officers stepped forward, blocking the path completely. Realizing there was no way forward, the shoplifters hesitated. Their earlier confidence had fully dissolved. What started as a carefully planned theft had turned into a trap. They could no longer escape. The scattered aisles, fallen shelves, and frightened customers stood as reminders of how quickly control can disappear when desperation takes over. Law enforcement moved in with calm coordination, securing the scene without causing harm to anyone inside. The shoplifters, surrounded and out of options, could no longer continue their attempt to flee. The atmosphere in the store slowly shifted as the tension began to fade. Employees guided customers out safely, one section at a time, ensuring no one was harmed. In the aftermath, the store was left in disarray, with products covering the floor and aisles marked by the path of chaos. In the following days, investigators reviewed security footage and confirmed that the two individuals had been involved in similar incidents before, gradually increasing the level of disruption each time. This event marked the highest escalation of their actions. The community viewed the store differently afterward, no longer seeing it as just a simple shopping place, but as the site of an unexpected breakdown of order. The incident became a reminder of how quickly a normal day can change when a small crime turns into something far more serious.